Well, we've been in lockdown now for 4 weeks, and I'm wondering what it must be like to be stuck in a house with your parents, your siblings, and the dog. In my case, it would have been a case of mass suicide. We had a dog that my mother adored, and my father uh, took a lot, but he hated my father. The dog hated my father, whose name was William Tell Jr. He was a wire hair terrier, and he hated all members of its own sex. My father thought it was said that the reason he hated men was because my mother fixed him too soon. And my mother said, no, she said, I know you men, once you get started on that kind of thing, you'd never stop. Junior was the kind of dog who bit the hand that fed him. He had absolute. I tried to write a story about him, and this magazine said this dog has absolutely no redeeming features. But the epitome of what happened with the dog is that my mother absolutely loved the dog, and my father. It took my father 3 months to be able to get back in the bedroom because my mother slept with the dog, and the dog would not let my mother in the bedroom. So my father was not that fond of the dog, but he knew that the way to my mother's heart was by being good to this dog, who was a disgusting, angry animal. He was the kind of dog that could run after a car as it was running, and he was so fast he could puncture the tires and still come back alive. Anybody that came to our house suffered from some kind of horrible attack from this dog. And one day my father came home, and my mother did not like to leave the dog alone. One of us had to babysit him all the time, but we all hated him. And one day my father came home, and my mother said, as long as you're home, I want you to take care of Junior. And my father was an inveterate golfer. And if you know anything about Toledo, Ohio, there are very few decent days to golf. So my father wanted to golf, and he had to babysit the dog. So he took the dog in the car to Glengarry Country Club because my father belonged to a Jewish country club. He could not understand why that was as elitist and racist as Inverness, which never let Jews in. This was a Jewish country club that didn't let any of the Goyim in. So he took Junior to the golf club, and he took the dog with him to golf. And of course, the dog completely destroyed the game and ran away. He ran away. And when he came back, he had to tell my mother that he had lost the love of my mother's life, which certainly was not my father, and it certainly was not me. The dog was competing with my sister for priority there. And he told my mother that he had lost the dog. And my mother was distraught. And she said, oh my God, she said, he didn't have any lunch. And my father said, yes, I treated him to a hamburger. And my mother said, that hamburger that you is not the kind of thing that Junior eats. I always get him ground round. No wonder he ran away. And that is the story of, can you imagine being locked in with this dog um, during a lockdown? I will never forget the time my 3-year-old niece came over, and the dog, she was just standing there, and the dog bit her. And my mother said, yes. We said, we've got to get rid of that dog. She said, no. What did that child do to the dog? So be very grateful, all of you who are at home without a wire hair terrier, because you will get through this lockdown, as I assure you I never would have if I had had to be locked down with Junior and my family. And thanks so much for joining me for my thoughts.